So, dawn is just around the corner, but King Shahryar, he's waiting. And just like us, he's totally captivated by Scheherazad's story as we dive into the 18th night. The last tale, if you remember, left off on a real knife's edge. A wild story of disguised princes, powerful curses, hidden identities, and a sense that justice hadn't quite been served.
And that's where our night begins. The Caliph, the great Harun al-Rashid, is so incredibly moved by this tangled mess of fates, the calendars, the sisters, that he orders the entire thing to be written down in gold ink. He gets it. This isn't just some story. It's a deep lesson about destiny, about cruelty, and about the very, very long road to redemption. But hang on, the story isn't over yet, not by a long shot. There's still one mystery left hanging in the air. And the Caliph, he's the kind of guy who can't stand loose ends. So he confronts the eldest sister, and he demands to know the truth about the powerful Jinnah who put this curse on her family in the first place. And get this, the sister reveals she has the key, a single lock of the Jinnah's own hair, which acts as a kind of magical token to summon her. The Caliph, he doesn't even blink. He takes the lock of hair and tosses it right into a flaming brazier. And as the smell of burning hair starts to fill the royal chamber, the very foundations of the palace start to shake. You hear this deafening rumble echoing through the halls, and then, right out of the smoke rising from the brazier, the Jinnah materializes. This powerful, totally awe-inspiring figure standing right there before the commander of the faithful. So this Jinnah, this incredibly powerful female spirit, she reveals she's actually a believer. She explains that what she did, well, it was a form of justice. She punished the sisters for their murderous cruelty, but she mixed that justice with mercy by sparing their lives. And now, out of respect for the Caliph, she agrees to lift the curse. And just like that, the spell is broken. It's almost deceptively simple. The Jinnah just whispers a few words over a bowl of water, and with one little sprinkle, the two dogs are women again. But just as everyone starts breathing a sigh of relief, she makes it crystal clear she's not done. Oh no, she has one last bombshell to drop. She looks the Caliph dead in the eye and drops the final, devastating secret. The brutal husband who whipped the second sister, who stole her fortune and left her for dead, it wasn't just some random cruel man. It was the Caliph's own son and heir, Al-Amin. The Caliph calls for him immediately, and faced with the truth, his son confesses everything. Okay, so with everything out in the open, every secret revealed, every injustice accounted for, the Caliph decides this night of shocking truths has to end in celebration. He's determined to fix this, to restore order and happiness, and turn this dark, twisted history into a bright, new future for every single person involved. And this is where the Caliph really shows his wisdom, right? He just masterfully restores balance to the whole situation. He marries the three Qalandars to the three sisters. He actually reunites his son, Al-Amin, with the wife he wronged, giving them a second chance. And then, in this final act of grace, he himself marries the clever portress, who kind of started this whole thing. He showers them all with riches and turns a history of pain into a future of joy. You'd think after all that, the Caliph could finally relax, but not quite. A few nights later, his spirit is still restless, so he's walking the streets of Baghdad in disguise, with his trusty vizier, Jafar. And there, on the banks of the Tigris River, they find this old fisherman, just weeping his heart out. The Caliph, moved by the man's absolute despair, comes up with this incredible offer right on the spot. He says, listen, cast your net just one more time, but this time, cast it on my luck. And whatever you pull up, I'll buy it from you for 100 dinars. Hope just floods back into the old man's eyes, and of course, he agrees immediately. And the Caliph is a man of his word. The fisherman strains and pulls and hauls this heavy, locked wooden chest out of the riverbed. The Caliph pays him the 100 gold dinars right then and there and sends the old man on his way, suddenly rich and overjoyed. So they haul this heavy chest all the way back to the palace. But their curiosity is now mixed with this growing feeling of unease. I mean, what could possibly be in there? The Caliph orders the candles to be lit and the chest brought before him. And you can just feel the vibe in the room shift, from this kind of late-night adventure to something much darker. And the way they open this chest, it's so slow, it's almost ceremonial, just building that tension. They break the lock, no treasure. Instead, there's a basket. They cut open the basket, and inside is a rug. They unroll the rug, and beneath it, a woman's veil. And then, beneath it all, the dismembered body of a beautiful young woman. This discovery just shatters the caliph's composure. I mean, he just explodes, a complete volcanic rage, and he turns it all on his most trusted advisor, Jafar. To him, this isn't just a murder, it's a personal failure, a stain on his entire reign, a weight on his soul, and he swears he will get vengeance for this girl. And this isn't just an empty threat. He delivers this absolutely terrifying ultimatum. Jafar, the vizier, has 3 days, 3, to find the murderer. And if he fails, not only will he be crucified at the palace gates, but 40 members of his own family will die with him. The stakes could not possibly be higher. So, 3 agonizing days go by, and Jafar's got nothing. He failed. With no clues, finding the killer was an impossible task. So now, the gallows are built, a massive crowd gathers to watch the unthinkable happen, the execution of the great vizier Jafar and 40 of his relatives. Jafar is standing at the foot of the gallows, totally resigned to his fate. The executioner is just waiting for the signal. And just then, at the absolute last second when all hope is lost, a handsome, well-dressed young man fights his way through the crowd, shouting, "Stop! Stop!" And suddenly, it's just total chaos. The young man screams that he's the murderer, demanding they execute him instead of Jafar. But before anyone can even process that, this old man comes rushing forward, also yelling that he's the real killer, trying desperately to save the younger one. Jafar, who is probably just completely bewildered at this point, brings both men before the caliph. The young man very quickly proves he's the one by describing perfectly what was inside the chest. The caliph's fury is gone now, replaced by this deep curiosity. He has to know, what could possibly drive a man to do something so monstrous and then just walk up and confess? And so the young man starts to tell his story. And it's a story of this incredible love that just twisted into the worst kind of tragedy. The woman they found? That was his wife, his cousin, the absolute love of his life. After she'd been sick for a long time, the only thing she craved was a rare apple. So he traveled for half a month all the way to Basra just to buy 3 of them for her. That's how much he loved her. But then it all went wrong. A few days later, he's at his shop and he sees a slave playing with one of these impossibly rare apples. And when he asks, "Hey, where did you get that?" the slave just laughs in his face and says this incredibly cruel thing, claiming he got it from his sweetheart, whose foolish husband had just come back from Basra. In that instant, the young man's world just went black. He is just blinded by this jealous fury. He sprints home, and when he sees that one of the 3 apples is missing, he believes the slave's poison. And without saying a single word, he does the unthinkable. He murders his wife in the most brutal way imaginable. It's only later that he finds his little boy crying, and the boy confesses he'd taken an apple, but a slave had snatched it from him and made up a terrible lie. And in that moment, the full weight of his catastrophic mistake just crashes down on him. He killed an innocent woman, his own wife, because of a vicious, malicious lie. The caliph, stunned, silent by this heartbreaking story, changes his mind. He won't execute the husband. Now he will find and punish the slave whose words caused all this horror. And so, as the sun begins to rise, Scheherazade leaves us with this impossible question, just hanging in the air, over the court of Baghdad and over the mind of a king.